What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar with your boy. It's been a minute. I haven't posted in quite some time, but really hasn't been much that's changed as far as the market's perspective. Only thing that's really changed has been on the daily, and just really has been no real movement or price action in this market that's been interesting to trade, to say the least. I've just been kind of taking a break mentally. And besides that, just nothing really here to take a trade on. But nonetheless, we're going to go over our 30-minute time frame, kind of give you guys an update on destinations there, review what's happened over the last 3 or 4 days, just kind of briefly talking about it. Not going to go into too much detail on it. And then we're going to break down our daily and weekly chart in ES. And then I think we might look at Bitcoin just to kind of see what Bitcoin's up to these days. I haven't really looked at the Bitcoin chart in quite some time, so we might look at Bitcoin as well. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. I think we'll start off looking at the larger time frames just to kind of give ourselves a better perspective in the bigger picture as to what's been going on over the last several days. So here's our weekly. We're looking at our weekly chart. Let me refresh this and actually have it on the weekly chart. Here is our weekly chart. All right. I don't know why things are acting slow. We broke out of our 2-week balance, and we've been one time framing up for the last 2 weeks. This week being the 3rd week. The only way we stop the one time framing down is if we take out a previous time frame's low. So that meaning if we take out last week's low, then we'll come back into a balance on the weekly, which would not be unhealthy, especially in SPY. If we look at SPY's weekly chart, they've not stopped one-time framing down at all. They just continuously been one-time framing up for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th week. We are on our 11th week of one-time framing up in SPY. 11 weeks straight. No pullback. Yes, there have been pullbacks, but we have not taken out a previous week's low, right? We've gotten near a previous week's low, but we have not taken out a previous week's low. Very, very impressive for SPY. So ES is a little bit different. We have taken out previous week's low, but only by a very small margin. So weekly has come into some type of balance, but not for very long. It's come into balance and then boom, exploded up. So here we are sitting at all-time highs or near all-time highs, looking to continue to one-time frame up on the weekly. But things have changed in the daily, right? It's all baby steps. We have to stop things in the daily before we can start rolling things over in the weekly. And then from the weekly before we start rolling things over in the monthly. But doesn't look like that's going to be much of a pullback if we do have one, because each and every pullback has been bought up, especially once we've gotten near that 20-day moving average. It has been bid up each and every single time. Now here's our daily time frame, looking at where we broke out of that weekly balance. That weekly balance high, previous weekly balance high is right there at 51.93. Just so happens to be right around where our 20-day moving average is sitting. Now if we pull up where our daily balance was, we came into a 2-day balance back on, what day was that? Today is Tuesday, right? Right, today's Tuesday. Back on the 22nd, so that would be what, Friday? Friday we came back into a 2-day balance. Broke out of that balance, one time frame down for a day. Then we came back into a balance today, only to have an outside day down. So if this market isn't confusing you right now, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm fairly confused. I don't know what to call it. I don't know whether to call it down or balance. I think we're going to call it balance, and we're just going to encompass this whole range here from, it's going to be another 100-point range, believe it or not, is how we're going to make our balance look. Essentially, this is what our balance is going to be. We're going to call it a 1, 2, 3, 4-day balance. Now, if you want to call it down, then that's okay. But we did technically stop one. If you want to call it down, then that's okay. We did technically stop the one time framing down by taking out the yesterday's high, the previous day's high, before rolling over and taking out yesterday's low, which isn't that impressive considering yesterday's range was one of the smallest, if not the smallest of the year, sitting at 14 points, 14 and a half points on the year, or for the day. That is definitely the smallest range and the lightest volume we've seen in quite some time. The volume was only 679,000. We average about 1.2 million in the futures contract. So very, very light volume and range yesterday. So today, taking out both sides, really not that impressive, but I think I'm going to call it balance, saying that we're chopping in basically in this 90 to 100 point range until we come out of it one way or the other. Now, one area that buyers most certainly want to hold is going to be where we broke out of this balance here, right? We broke out of this balance, one time frame up, boom, boom, 2 days, came back into a balance, and now we're kind of drifting back into that lower area. So where I want to see buyers kind of step in and hold is going to be right in here, right? We want buyers to hold basically, excuse me. Had to sneeze. Sorry. Sorry. Allergies are getting crazy this time of year. Sorry about that. Anyway, we want to hold basically the lower distribution from this day. Okay. If you do not recall, this big spike up here was the FOMC day, the Fed day, where they made the announcements on rate cuts and everything, or lack of rate cuts and rate hikes. So right around this area is going to be the lower distribution from that day. If I break this into a 30-minute time frame real quick, you can kind of see what that might look like. It's going to be kind of ugly. But essentially it's where we did all that consolidation prior to breaking out and moving up higher, right? It's basically the area that we spiked from. So essentially you want to see buyers hold above 52.50. If buyers can hold above 52.50, hold above this range here, bounce off of it, all right? If buyers can bounce off this area, boom, we should come back up and test the all-time high and what we're going to be calling our balance high, okay? So we have our balance low down here, and now we have our balance high, 53.2275. Let me bring this daily back up. So that's what we're going to call it for now. That is our daily balance, 20-day moving average, 51.95. Daily balance low is going to be 52.33 on the flat side. So 52.33 is our balance low, balance high, 53.22. So 52.33, 53.22. Kind of strange how that, numbers flip-flop there. You see that? Anyway, so look for a hold of 52.50. Now let's go ahead and look at our 30-minute time frame where things kind of look to shape up a little bit differently. So right here is where we broke out of that balance, or our previous all-time high right there at 57.07. This is the lower distribution that I'm about to highlight, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what that looks like. So let me highlight this lower distribution. It's a rather large lower distribution from that trend day up, just because of the range that it was in, right? It was a fairly large range, that lower distribution. And this, where I'm about to highlight, is the upper distribution, is essentially where we've been trading for the last 2 days. Just kind of packing in volume there for the last 2 days. So far, we've drifted out of that lower distribution for the first time and started to dip our toe into that lower distribution. Now, on the downside, there isn't much there, right? There's nothing really to lean against until you get to this area where we spiked out of, which I forgot to label, but I think is very important in my opinion. So 75, we're going to call it price spike. So we'll want to label that as such. So we got a price spike right there at 47.75. And then you have a vacuum and a magnet down to 42. So there really isn't much to lean against here. Whenever we do decide, if we do decide to drift lower. Now keep in mind, this market is in a balance now. We are in a balance, meaning we're going to have to use our balance rules, meaning you get near a balance low or high, test it, and rotate the other direction if you can't break through. You get near balance high or low, and push through it, slightly stretching the balance, and then rotate to the other end, whichever that may be. And then you do the last one, which we experienced most recently, which was breaking through a balance high and getting really good extension through it and away from it. So 2 through and away from that balance area is what you want to see essentially. We are back to a nice little balance here. Balance area is definitely going to be 33, like I said, up to 22. I know I'm kind of just bouncing all over the place here, but yeah, want to see 52.50 hold. Do not want to find acceptance in this lower distribution because there is a vacuum down to that 10Y point of control that we created back on that day at 42.25. Interesting thing is we've been creating Y points of control a lot recently, and I think that's mostly due to the lack of volume and lack of range. But on Monday we created an 11Y point of control. On Friday we created a 10Y point of control. Today we got that 11Y point of control on the downside, and we could not get up to that 10Y point of control. We pushed up but could not even get close to it. Then we kind of just consolidated and chopped around and above that 11Y point of control from yesterday, creating another 10Y point of control before we finally spiked lower and really probed to the downside, getting this set of single prints which filled at 67 and dipping our toe into that lower distribution. So there's nothing but a magnet until that 42.25 on the downside. So as far as buying this market, there really isn't much for me to lean on. The only area I would look to long against would most certainly be if we ever got down to that 47.75 area or that 52.50 area, and maybe use this low here at 41 as my out. Maybe give myself a 10-point range there to see if we do rotate back up at any point in time. Maybe take some profit on that trade. But like I said, we have an outside day down scenario occurring, but we are in a balance. This market is balanced. Outside day down, but within a balanced market. So take it with a grain of salt. And especially since yesterday's range was so freaking small, and then today was looking to be even smaller until we finally got extension late in the day. Was a snooze fest. Nothing really here. Snooze fest, as Paul likes to call it. For those of you that don't know, go check out Paul Asmar. He is the greatest mentor out there. If you want to learn market profile, definitely go check him out. Huge shout out to Paul. Go check out camelbacktrading.org. Shameless little plug there. I benefit absolutely nothing from it, but go check him out. He's a great guy. And all these videos are basically just for myself, reviewing charts, talking to myself, getting ideas in my head. And if you like them, then you like them. If not, then oh well. The life of an ADHD trader is what you're looking at here. So we're going to go ahead and mark our destinations and kind of review a couple scenarios, and then we're going to just briefly look at Bitcoin because I do want to see what Bitcoin is up to these days. So we're going to, that's ugly. We're going to mark our chart here. We have our high day at 52.94.50. We have our 10Y point of control. That means 10 out of the 13 time frames traded back and forth through the same price. So buyers and sellers were happy to meet there. Right here at 87.25, just slightly above where we had our 11Y point of control from the previous day, 2 points higher. So not much of a change in where we've been packing in a lot of volume. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me that we're packing in volume where the uh, previous upper distribution was located from that big trend day up. Tim YPOC. Tim YPOC. What is today's date? 3. And then trying to think. So we have single prints. That fill at 83. So believe it or not, today was a double distribution day. I don't even know if I want to call this a double distribution day. I almost want to say that this is where the market spiked lower from. I think we're just going to call this a price spike. I don't even know if I want to call this a set of single prints, just because it was so late in the day, and it's where we kind of just broke out of balance from, and then kind of just began this extension down to the side. And there are kind of a distinct difference in where, like, you have a price spike and a price probe. Hello. A price spike and a price probe. Trying to get my camera fixed there. So I think we're going to call this a price spike and a price probe right here. You can say that this is a lower distribution here between 78 and 81. I want to see 3 time frames in a row around that area. Like kind of here, right? We had a bit of a 3 time frames in that area of the upper distribution. You can see how we had 3 time frames that traded, or in that lower distribution there, or in that upper distribution. You can see how we had 3 time frames trade there. So that's what I want to see here, is more or less 3 time frames trade in that area before I call it a distribution. So we're going to call this a price spike here. We're going to call this a price spike right there at 82. And then we have our price probe, which is going to be right here at 78. So sellers do not want to see us get back above 78. Sellers do not want to see us get back above 78. Price probe. What was it? And then you have our low of day way down here at 63. There we have it. So there's our destinations. So if we open up tomorrow below 7, why did that not change? The fuck? I swear to God. If tomorrow we open below 78, our price probe, you want to see us stay below 78. If we do exactly that, we'll roll over, take out 52.63. Below there, you have nothing until the price spike at 47.75, and then the 10Y point of control down here at 42.25, which is a freaking magnet. All right, you definitely want to see buyers hold in this area, and we'll be approaching our balance low. Keep in mind, our balance low is 52.33. 52.33 is our balance low. Now on the upside, if we do not open below 78, we open above 78 and 82, you will rotate most likely up to this 10Y point of control at 87.25, and then you'll look to take out today's high, 52.94.50, and then 52.97.25, 10Y point of control there, and then 53.06 is going to be the high day from the 22nd. You'll most likely get that if we open above 82. As the last thing sellers want to see is an open above 82, because that just means more freaking chop, right? Finally, we start to get some type of extension, not much volume, but we finally start to get some type of extension on the downside. Sellers want to take advantage of this and open below 78 or 82. If we do that, this market should roll right. Why is it 82? It should be 83. The fuck is going on here? $83. Okay, 83. You get what I'm saying. Between 78 and 83, no-go zone. Definitely want to see sellers step up there. If we get above that, then I will not be looking to short this market at all, really, until maybe 97.25. Give it a first-time shot there. But, yep, I will not look to long until around that 50 level to 42.25 level. And then I know this video is long as shit. Kind of aggravate myself with how long I make these videos run. But whatever. It's my video. Fuck it. Bitcoin. See what we got going here in Bitcoin. So we're looking at Bitcoin's 30-minute time frame. We'll look at the 30-minute time frame, and then we'll quickly look at the daily time frame. And this profile looks like it's been all over the freaking place. So it looks like we'd gapped several gaps here. Holy shit. After breaking above that key level of 5,300, gap up, island, gap up. So your one time frame up, 1, 2, inside day, continues to one time frame up, outside day down, buy the dip, fails. We're back to balance. We attempt to break out of balance, but slightly stretch it. We officially break out of balance up here, set new highs. We're back to balance. We were in a 1, 2, 3, 4 day balance, slightly stretched it up here. We broke out of balance to the downside. One time framing down, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, back to balance. We were in a 1, 2, 3, 4 day balance. Now we're back to one time framing up. So it looks like the market is, or at least in the 30-minute time frame and the shorter time frame, the daily looks to be one time framing up from my perspective here. And realistically, it looks like we're just kind of playing between let's say this level here between 60,000. Looks like we're just playing between 60,000 and 73,000. Looks like we're just kind of bouncing around in between that area pretty good here. But for the most part, looks like between yesterday and today, yesterday we went trend up with 2 sets of single prints, very small opening, 1 set of single print, 2 set of single print. So double distribution day to the upside, as we had distribution here to the upside. Triple distribution day, filled it, and looks like we traded between the upper distribution and that middle distribution from yesterday. So buyers want to hold above 68,975, and sellers want to hold below 71,245. Definitely, if you're a seller, you want to be taking profits up here around that 73,000 level. Today looks like it was just kind of a weak trend day down. They have a upside set of single prints that fill at 70, 80, 55. So if you are a buyer in this market, maybe you're getting long here around the 69,000 level, 69.5 level. And then you're looking to take profit around 78. So within about 1,000-point range, you're looking to take some profit there. So from 69,500 up to 78.55, you'll look to kind of chop around in there. Maybe take a long here, sell up here. But right now it looks as if the daily is one time framing up. Let's actually look at the daily time frame real quick. See, so previous all-time highs were right up here around, let's go kind of mark that level there. 69,355. Mark around that level. As you can see here, we were one time framing up, 1, 2, 3, back inside day, continues to one time frame up, balance, one time frame up, back to balance, broke out of balance, one time frame down, back to balance. As you can see here, this was a previous balance, right? I'm gonna do it with just so we can kind of get an idea. This was a previous balance area that we were just in, the most recent balance area that we were just in. This is kind of rough estimate, not accurate numbers, but to kind of give you an idea of the most recent daily balance that we were in. We were in this nice little 4-day balance. You can see here, we came back into a balance. You could have used this high here, but we just, I would have used this high here. It's 67,830 balance low down here. It's 62.50. You can see how we came down, tested our balance low, rotated up, actually have a pretty nice size gap here. Actually a pretty size gap right in between there. So target on the downside for the sellers would most certainly be to fill this gap up between 69.40 or 66,940 and 64,435. So pretty decent size gap in between there. Nice push up, one time framing up for the last 2 days. So buyers most certainly want to hold above today's low of 69,330, which is basically that previous all-time high. Buyers want to hold above there. And then if we hold above 69,330, which was that previous all-time high and today's low, you should go and take out the all-time high up here because you just filled this downside gap. I just realized we had a downside gap here, got filled, downside gap here, got filled, upside gap. Yep. So next destination on the upside would most certainly be 73,780 on the upside. So pretty good there for the Bitcoin fam. As far as the weekly goes, weekly's actually been in that balance area. Weekly is in a balance. In that area that I was talking about, balance low being 62,250, 73,780. So we are getting near our weekly balance high on Bitcoin. So balance rules would come into effect there. So we're one time framing up in the daily. To get the weekly back to one time framing up, they need to take out the all-time high. So if they do that in Bitcoin, should be no issue for them to really continue to push up maybe into the 80,000 area. All right, so Bitcoin, get your 80,000 get your 80,000 hat on for the Bitcoiners out there. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a long fucking video. If you made it to the end, good job. Here's a cookie. I'll catch you guys in the next one, whenever that may be. See ya.